Today we are going to make almond flour streusel bread that actually has a fluffy crumb. And to make that happen, what I do is I add a little cornstarch, or you could do tapioca starch or coconut flour depending on what you have in hand or your dietary needs. The other thing to make it fluffy is a little trick where, first of all, use Libby's pumpkin, just because I find that Libby's has less moisture than other pumpkin brands, and you're going to soak up the extra moisture with paper towels first before adding. So let's make it. So first you're going to take a cup of the pumpkin and then just kind of spread that around on a plate. And to soak up the moisture, what you're going to do is you're going to take some paper towels and you're just going to flatten it on it. Then you take it off and you repeat that I do it about 4 or 5 times. So this is the last time that we're going to do it, and you can see that there's not as much wetness coming through. There's still going to be wetness. It's not going to be completely dry, but you just want to get that extra moisture out. You can leave the paper towel on and then just set it aside while we make our streusel topping. To make the streusel topping, I just melt the butter in whatever bowl I'm going to mix it in. Just make sure it's a microwavable, safe bowl. But you can also use melted coconut oil or ghee too. And to that bowl, add 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 2/3 of a cup of almond flour, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 cup of pecans or whatever nuts you want to use. And then I also use an egg yolk because almond flour doesn't bind together very well because it doesn't have any gluten. So that egg yolk just makes sure the streusel topping doesn't fall apart or is like really dry or sandy. It makes it like nice clumps, almost kind of like a coffee cake texture on top. Now we're ready to make the actual bread, which comes together in like 2 minutes. So you'll need 3 eggs, and to that add your slightly dried pumpkin, and then 1/2 cup of brown sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then you only need 1/4 of a cup of oil, and you can use any oil you want. And it's just because almond flour already has so much oil in it that almond flour recipes don't need a lot of additional oil. In fact, it just like makes it really heavy and dense if you do add a lot of oil. So beware of recipes that use a lot of oil with almond flour. So just whisk that together. And then you're gonna add your dry ingredients. And here I have pumpkin pie spice, I have baking powder, and a little bit of salt. If you don't wanna use pumpkin pie spice, you could use your own combination of like cinnamon and nutmeg and ginger. Here's the cornstarch, but like I said, you could use coconut flour or tapioca starch too. And then 2 cups of almond flour. And then just give that a stir. So when you're done mixing it together, the batter should be a little bit thick, and that's fine. For your pan, use an 8x4 pan. That makes sure that the almond flour layer is thick enough. Otherwise, it'll be too thin and it'll bake a lot faster. You're gonna spray your pan and then line it with parchment paper. And so when it's done baking, you can just lift it out like this, and then the streusel topping doesn't fall all over your counter. Okay, so spread batter in the pan. I'm sure it gets to all the corners. And then you're going to just crumble on that streusel topping on top. It'll kind of seem like a lot of streusel topping, but just go with it. I questioned it at first, and then once I pulled it out of the oven, I was like, oh, this is definitely the right amount. It makes almost like a crumb cake topping. Okay, now we're ready to bake it. It's gonna be pretty good.